NBA player props here on PrizePicks for Tuesday, October 29th. 4-game NBA slate here. Before we get started, you guys take a look in the description below of the video. Join the Discord, $9.30 per month, 31 cents per day. So where I post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks. We have other cappers in there as well. Super positive community. Currently doing a special 20% off your first month in the Discord. So it ends up being like $6 using promo code TUFF. Click the link in the description below to join the Discord. Put in that promo code, 20% off your first month. This is for first-time members of the Discord. Come check it out. Again, like I said, super positive community. I also mentioned that I'm a gambling expert, not financial advice. Simply just plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully give you guys some insight and analysis to make your own player prop decisions here. Again, no one's pressing submit on those parlays other than yourselves. And then really quickly, I want to talk about Daily Grind Fantasy, you guys. The DFS optimizer over at Daily Grind Fantasy, DG Fantasy, an absolute elite DFS research betting tool. If you go here and you filter this, to select all sports that are on PrizePicks, Daily Grind, the DFS optimizer, does all the hard work for you. Basically takes the lines from all the major sports books and gives you essentially 1% odds to hit, right? Showing you the kind of line discrepancies that are out there on these different types of sports books. Like look at all these esports plays right now that are currently decent discrepancies, right? 55.2% odds to hit because it's on hot streak at 6.5 minus 204, and it's at 6 on PrizePicks under, right? Giving us a discrepancy, right? You'd have to do a lot of different things to get this type of data. And Daily Grind, the DFS optimizer, again, does it all for you. Like for example, if we go to the NFL, the NFL board's out pretty early. You can get some really good early value here on PrizePicks. Like the top play on the board would be Devontae Adams over 4.5 receptions because it's at minus 138 on FanDuel, and at these lines on these other books, again, under 7.5 kicking points because it's at minus 135 on DraftKings, right? So it really just does all the hard work for you. There's a link in the description below. You can get 25% off your first month at DG Fantasy with the link in the description below. But let's get into this 2-player props that I do like Tuesday, October 29th, NBA slate, 4-game slate. Let's get into it. The first play I like is going to be Cam Thomas over 37.5 fantasy score. Really quickly, just when looking at this matchup, Denver last night played overtime game. 4 of their starters played 40+ minutes. This game being at home in Brooklyn, I think it gives this a ton of upside for this game to be competitive. As well as Ben Simmons being out, Bogdanovic being out, Watford being out. I mean, but more specifically, Ben Simmons being out. But like I said, Nuggets, last night played an overtime game. Gordon, Jokic, Murray, and Braun all played 40+ minutes last night. Coming back, traveling into New York tonight, should be a ton of upside, like I said, for this game to remain competitive. We look at Cam Thomas in a short sample size this season, 53.5, 32.7, and 45 fantasy points. And again, 45 and 53 against 2 weaker defenses. And then Orlando, obviously, probably one of the best perimeter defenses in the NBA. And he still was able to put up 32.7 on the road here. He gets a home game here where he's already had 32, 5, 2, and 2. I like the defensive upside that he's showing this season, but the volume for him, 17, 21, and 27 field goal attempts, is just elite, right? It's absolutely elite. We look at a super small sample size as well of Ben Simmons off the floor this season. In 38 minutes, or almost 40 minutes with Ben Simmons off the floor, Cam Thomas is averaging 60 fantasy points and 1.7 fantasy points per minute. 48.1 points per game per 36 minutes. Like, he sees absolute elite usage with Ben Simmons off the floor. And again, he's not going to play at all tonight. And then also, something that's interesting is that Denver's just been getting cooked by isolation guards, right? Like guards that can just get their own bucket in ISO, because Denver does play a ton of ISO. I think they play ISO defense at the highest rate in the NBA. We look at SGA. He had 61.4 fantasy. James Harden, 53.2. Norman Powell, 43.6. What Cam Thomas is extremely good at. And again, we talk about just high usage guards. There's no real high usage guard specifically on Toronto. I mean, RJ Barrett's more of a forward. Obviously, Emmanuel Quickley was out for that game. But we look at SGA, Harden, 2 of the top guards that saw 36+ minutes against Denver, 53 and 61.4 fantasy. So overall, it's a really good spot for Cam Thomas. Not really overthinking this one. This guy is going to shoot the ball, 20+ times in this matchup at home. with Denver coming off a back-to-back, game that went to overtime. I like this spot a lot here for him. Cam Thomas over 37.5 is the first play. The second play that I'm looking at here is going to be Kyrie Irving, if I can find him here. Kyrie over 34 fantasy. On the road versus Minnesota. This again should be a very 2 of 3 games. Last night played 36 minutes against Utah, 45.7 fantasy. Just really took over. Had 45 fantasy points on only 14 field goal attempts. Just dominating, showing you the type of hyper efficiency player that Kyrie Irving is. But if we look more specifically, like he was over this line in 8 of 9 games on 0 days rest. I think he kind of thrives. On no day Minnesota, 0 days rest, and again, this is elite hit rate as well, over in 7 of 8. And his lowest fantasy score output was 25.9, but the 7 overs he had at least 40 fantasy points. Just kind of showing us the type of upside that Kyrie Irving does have, and at 34 for Kyrie Irving in a game that has a 4.5 point spread. This is the team that did knock. If you look at Kyrie Irving's hit rate on this fantasy score line dating back to last season, again, outlier, this is last year's 79% hit rate, averaging 41.43 fantasy points. So it's a great spot. I think this game should be super competitive. Two teams that are obviously vying to win the Western Conference. 2 player props for this YouTube video. Thomas, Kyrie. Please drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and as always, let's cash.